How many times have I treaded this path before? Oh, check it out. It's a mud crab. Why does Delphine have to be so freaking far away? Take care of it, Vald. Good. Oh, hey, actually, you know what? I never read this dossier on, what's his name? Esbern. Let's take a look at this. Thalmor Dossier. Esbern. Status, fugitive, capture only. Highest priority, emissary level approval. Description, male, Nord, late 70s. Background. Esbern was one of the Blade's lore masters prior to the First War against the Empire. He was not a field agent, but is now believed to have been behind some of the most damaging operations carried out by the Blades during the pre-war years, including the Falinesti incident and the breach of the Blue River Prison. His file has remained dormant for many years, an inexcusable error on the part of my predecessor, who has been recalled to Alinor for punishment and re-education, in the erroneous belief that he was unlikely to pose a threat due to his advanced age and lack of field experience. A salutary reminder to all operational levels that no Blades agent should be considered low priority for any reason. All are to be found and justice exacted upon them. Operational notes. As we are still in the dark as to the cause and the meaning of the return of the dragons, I have made capturing Esbern our top priority. He is known to be one of the experts in the dragon lore of the Blades. Regrettably, we have yet to match their expertise on the subject of dragons, which was derived from their Akaveri origins, and is still far superior to our own, which remains largely theoretical. The archives of Cloud Ruler Temple, which is believed to have been the primary repository for the oldest Blade's lore, were largely destroyed during the siege, and although great effort has been made to reconstruct what was lost, it now appears that most of the records related to the dragons were either removed or destroyed prior to our attack. Thus, Esbern remains our best opportunity to learn how and why the dragons have returned. It cannot be ruled out that the Blades themselves are somehow connected to the dragon's return. We have recently obtained solid information that Esbern is still alive and hiding somewhere in Riften. Interrogation of a possible eyewitness is still ongoing. We must proceed carefully to avoid Esbern becoming alerted to his danger. If he is indeed in Riften, he must not be given an opportunity to flee. Alright.
We got warm food, warm drinks, and warm beds.
Delphine! What are you doing hanging out in the bar area? I thought you always stuck to your room. Also, it's really inconvenient to wait for you to go back downstairs. I would bother with the door, but I know that Vald is just going to freaking open it up right behind me. Also, while I'm at it, Delphine, I'm a bit thirsty. So, I mean, I'm gonna take your reading material for the middle of the night. I hope you don't mind. Hope you don't mind. Alright, now we can talk. Delphine. Hey.
You made it out alive, at least. Your gear's safe in my room, as promised. Did you learn anything useful?
It depends on what you qualify as useful. The only rock-solid information I was able to gather is that they know less than us about the dragons. They don't even know that they're being resurrected. They're looking into it. There are leads, but they're pretty well in the dark.
Really? That seems hard to believe. You're sure about that?
You... Really, Delphine? Why did you send me into the embassy if you weren't going to believe anything that I come back with?
You're right. I was sure it must have been them. If not the Thalmor, who? Or what?
I don't have an answer for that. But it's not all lost. The Thalmor is scratching around, frantically trying to find an answer themselves. They've got one lead that they seem fairly certain of. You might know about him. A Blades operative named Esbern.
Esbern? He's alive? I thought the Thalmor must have got him years ago. That crazy old man. Figures the Thalmor would be on his trail, though, if they were trying to find out what's going on with the dragons.
There was a fairly thick dossier on him. Given what was in it, I'm not surprised that the Thalmor are after him. What do you know about Esbern, though? Given that you've worked with him, I'd imagine you know him far better than any Thalmor agent could. Why do you think that they're after him?
You mean aside from wanting to kill every Blade they can lay their hands on? Esbern was one of the Blade's archivists, back before the Thalmor smashed us during the Great War. He knew everything about the ancient dragon lore of the Blades. Obsessed with it, really. Nobody paid much attention back then. I guess he wasn't as crazy as we all thought.
Huh. And thus the Thalmor think that the Blades are behind the dragon attacks.
Ironic, right? The old enemies assume that every calamity must be a plot by the other side. Even so, we've got to find Esbern before they do. He'll know how to stop the dragons, if anybody does. Do they know where he is?
Well, they had someone chained up in their dungeon and they were manually uncoiling him. The story is that there's someone matching Esbern's description in Riften. Something about the underbelly of Riften specifically. Not much more specific than that, though.
Riften, eh? Probably down in the Ratway, then. It's where I'd go. You'd better get to Riften. Talk to Brynjolf. He's well-connected. A good starting point, at least. Oh, and when you find Esbern, if you think I'm paranoid, you may have some trouble getting him to trust you. Just ask him where he was on the 30th of Frostfall. You'll know what it means.
30th of Frostfall. Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Before I go, I do have to ask, what happened to the Blades? How did you end up in this position? On the run, in hiding?
The Thalmor happened. They've been hunting down every blade they can find for the past 30 years. Thanks to the White Gold Concordat, they've been able to operate throughout the Empire with impunity.
That's something that's always puzzled me. Why does the Empire allow the Thalmor to reign so freely? It's not like they won the war. There was a treaty signed. It was peace.
Part of the cost of peace. Emperor Titus Mede saved his empire at a very high price. A price that included the Blades. The Nords didn't like the peace treaty much either. 30 years later, the Empire ends up with the Stormcloak Rebellion on its hands. No doubt exactly as the Thalmor intended.
And what of the Thalmor themselves? Who exactly are they? I know they're Altmers from Somerset, but beyond that, what's the origin of the organization of the Thalmor?
There's no simple answer to that. You want the long version or the short version?
I have time to listen.
They're the rulers of the Aldmeri Dominion, what used to be the imperial provinces of Somerset Isle and Valenwood. The Thalmor take the arrogance of high elves to the extreme. They believe they are the rightful rulers of all of Tamriel. For a century or more, the Thalmor had been picking away at the Empire. Valenwood was the first, then the province of Elsewhere. But even the Blades didn't see the Great War coming. We underestimated the Thalmor, and they destroyed us.
Gotta love political intrigue and power struggles. And where do I fit into all of this? Why is it so important that I'm Dragonborn?
The Blades have always guarded and guided the Dragonborn, but we'd forgotten why. Now our purpose is clear. I'm all that's left of the Blades, and you're the Dragonborn. Together, we're going to stop these dragons if we have to put every last one of them back in the ground.
Well, at least our goal is clear. I'll chat with you again, Delphine. Stay secret, stay safe. I'll return after I've been able to find Esbern. Ooh, Sunken Temple. And aha, Vald, you finally decided to rejoin us. This isn't symbolic at all. Not a message. Oh, hello, hello. We have something to read here. That's about everything. Alright, what do we have here? Fisherman's Journal. A decent catch of fish is getting harder and harder to come by. Without a good spot soon, I don't think we'll survive the next winter. So I'm traveling further south towards Lake Ilinalta. Folks say it's cursed. Whole Imperial fort just sank into the water one day, and they say the ruins have been haunted since. When I asked, I got ghost stories, tales of people who went out near the lake and never came back. They say spirits haunt the hallways of the sunken fort and steal little children from their mothers' cribs. No amount of coin could convince any of the nearby villagers to guide me there, so I'm following the White River. Divines protect me. I hope the stories aren't true. There has to be something. Ooh, hello! Holy crap, it's a Atronach Forge recipe. Very surprised to find another one in here. I've never actually kept track of the recipes as I find them. I'm certain that I found a whole bunch on my first playthrough, but man, like that was just so long ago. I mean, how much do you really remember about your first playthrough? You probably have a couple of like standouts that you can put your hand on, you know, cherry pick and well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like your memory kind of works in a cherry picking kind of way where it's like, these are moments that really stood out to me. I mean, they may not even be that good of moments. They were just the moments that stood out to you. Like that one time you got super frustrated because of a game glitch. What was it? I think it's Geirman's Hall is the dungeon. It's next to, is it Iverstead or Everstead? However you say it. It's the town at the base of the throat of the world. Whenever you go into Geirman's Hall, which is not too far from it. Oh ho, hello. Oh, shut up. You guys always talk about not coming around whenever I come to crash your party. Idiots. But if you go into Geirman's Hall, which is, you know, right near Iverstead, you can get, you know, you just get ragdolled by the final boss in that area. So that always stands out to me, and I've seen other people like on Reddit and whatnot talk about it as well. It's like, yeah, there's no way to get out of the dungeon either because you have to drop through a hole and just there are all sorts of stories across the board where, you know, it's like I remember this game really well because of these bad experiences or these good experiences. In the case of Skyrim, it seems to cut both ways. Holy crap, where'd you come from? I didn't know that there were extra skeletons around here. Oh, for God's sake, die. Stupid skeletons. You know what, I just realized Vald appears to have been lost again. There we go. What do we have in here? I don't think that I'm going to find too much of anything valuable in this dungeon. I mean, in all honesty, most of the dungeons aren't turning up anything particularly valuable to me at this point. I mean, I'm far enough into the game at like level 40 or so here that, oh great, I can't sleep. Where on earth is, the screwball who's preventing me from getting a good night's sleep here?
Where are you?
Oh, well, I heard him. He must be further into the dungeon. But, well, actually, now that I don't have the Lover's Stone equipped, that's part of the reason why I'm not leveling up fast. And, whatnot. Alright, where is this douchebag? Oh. This kind of looks like the boss dungeon. Can I don't know if I can get that bridge down. I should probably... that's not what I meant to do. Here we go. Let's refresh this spell, and let's go ahead and... Oh, come on! There we go. Summon and take care of it. Come on, go ahead. Do it, my dear friend, my dear Deidre. Kill them. Oh, crap, really just wiped the floor with him. Last time I summoned that Deidre... Mehrunes Dagon had better send me someone better next time that I cast the spell. I feel like this might be a 2-tiered dungeon. Like, I get the feeling that the inner sanctum for finding Azura's star is boarded off, and this is the normal small dungeon. Because this was really, really fast. This was incredibly small. Not too much. Hopefully Vald will reappear whenever I go deeper into the sanctum too, so... Oh man, water breathing. This is a spell that I don't really use all that often. There we go. And, I mean, water breathing is just... Man, it's so useful. It's so freaking useful. One thing that I am surprised about, I feel like I've said this, though, is the fact that they decided to take out the breath meter in Skyrim. Like, there was a breath meter in Morrowind, there was a breath meter in Oblivion, but they took it out in Skyrim, and I'm like, why would you do that? Because you can still stay underwater too long and then start taking damage. Why would you take away the ability to keep track of it? It doesn't make any sense. God, so many locked doors. Oh, almost leveled up. Man. Alright. This has got to loop back out. Yeah, here we go. Another boarded up door. Or barred door. Yeah, I think that this is... Oh, there was a ramp to get up here the whole time. Okay, well, I went left instead of right. Looks like I could have just bypassed the entire dungeon and gone down into the heart of it all to get the Azura's Star. Alright. Or maybe I... Well, actually, it doesn't look like there was any sort of a barrier to get into here. And also, Vald is still missing.
More souls are needed for the star. The last one died before he could be harvested.
We can't take another villager from the surface so soon. I told you to prepare everything properly.
We can just sacrifice another disciple. Apprentice Erlen will be no great waste.
Yes, he'll do.
Whew. Nasty and cutthroat, these guys. They've even sacrificed their own. Why is it that whenever people who are, why is it that whenever people talk about, like performing forbidden magics and they end up getting kicked out of the college for that matter, why is it that every single time they have something to say about those fools don't know the true power of magic? Why does it always go that way? Like, it seems like that is the most trite thing whenever it comes to people who experiment with magic. It's like, oh, it was so powerful that they didn't know what they were doing and it consumed them or something. And they always talk about, you know, other people not willing to take the risks or whatever. Why does it always work that way? I'm not saying that I have an answer for it, for like what else you could do. What I am saying is that seems like to be the most generic answer for people who, you know, experiment with magic or, you know, do something involving necromancy or capturing souls. And that seems to be across the board as well. It doesn't really matter what type of fantasy you're in. Like, there are a lot of things out there, like, well, nothing's coming to mind, but it seems really, really trite to me. Maybe that's just me. Okay, it might just be me. Maybe it's just Skyrim that does that. Maybe it's, you know, Skyrim and, like, the entirety of the Elder Scrolls that do that. Oh, hello, I did not expect to find you here. Oh, figures. We're in an abandoned Imperial fort. And, ooh, nice, I leveled up. I'll have to... I'm not entirely certain what I want to take next either. What? Oh, you little crap-faced bone boy. Don't shoot your friggin' arrows at me. Crying out loud. I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, right. The whole necromancy thing. Why is it that that's the case where, you know... I'm not gonna bother picking these doors. Why is it that that's the case, you know, where someone who practices magic, like, it ends up consuming them? I kind of wish that I heard something a little bit more original than that. Maybe someone is successful with their magic and they become a greater threat. Of course, I feel like that's not really all that heavy of writing. You know what, let's go ahead and refresh my armor spell before I go any further.
Another soul for the master.
Another soul for the master? You guys are sick. If this guy is supposed to be invincible, why does he need so many souls? Uh-oh. Ooh. I thought that you guys would disintegrate with whenever I took out the screwball up front there. Alright, there we are. For that matter, how long do skeletons last? Because I recall reading some sort of a book about the preparation of bodies for necromancy in Oblivion, and there was something there about, like, putting stuff into the joints, basically to replace the cartilage, because they're not, like, the joints aren't lubricated, they're dry, and therefore if you reanimate a skeleton, they'll just, like, their joints will just grind to nothingness. For that matter, what type of preservation technology would be necessary? Well, I say technology, like, what type of preservation, skill, I guess? I don't know that skill is the right... magic, there we go. What am I saying? What type of preservation magic would be necessary for, like, the continued the continued reanimation of a corpse that's fresh? I figure that, like, there would be a particular type of you know, like, magic a particular research line in necromancy that's like, we need to preserve the body so it can fight for as long as possible without the heart beating or something like that. You know? Maybe that's just it. It's like, no, you don't need the brain, it just needs to follow orders. Just... Oh. What's this? You know, you don't need the brain, it just needs to follow orders. Man, that is some ominous lighting right there. Beautiful. This is like screenshot worthy. But yeah, it just needs to follow orders, it doesn't need the brain, it just needs the heart working. So is there a particular type of necromantic magic where it's like, yeah, it gets the heart beating and moving so it'll reanimate and everything, but the brain just stops working, you know? Malin Varen's Grimoire. The Black Star, an achievement of magic over Daedra, by Malin Varen, Master Enchanter. Though some scoffed, some scorned at the very notion of experimenting on a Daedric artifact, I succeeded where the ignorant and superstitious would not even dare to try. The Black Star. My achievement over the Daedric Lord Azura, a re-envisioning, a remastering of the ultimate soul gem. It shall become the vessel of my immortality, final proof that mortals can live as indefinitely as the denizens of oblivion. The visions, the voices that Azura has sent to taunt me. While some called me mad, I knew the truth. Nothing can be held sacred in the pursuit of advancing the very nature of magic itself. Let the Daedra send their foul images into my mind. They have given me the burning desire and unrelenting discipline to shut out all influence, all morality. My disciples and I have built a new site, free of the prying eyes of the primitive minds in Winterhold, Fort Ilinalta. We had been conducting a few minor experiments before our exile, some of which led to the disruption of the island, but a few enchantments have kept the ruins intact, and beneath the waters of Lake Ilinalta has been the perfect place for the final phase of the Black Star. Alright, well I don't know where Vald has gone, but hopefully he'll show up. I think what I want to do now is I want to head out to Markarth. I have left Molag Bal waiting long enough, and Azura doesn't need this star back any quicker. So, off to Markarth it is, and I think that there's probably some quests to get done there. I mean, I never talked to the Jarl, so... City of Stone, here we come.